Hello friends. Been a hot minute since I've said that. Welcome back to Brittany Likes Bookies, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This here is Brittany Likes Bookies, as I just said. And here we keep it cute, we keep it classy, we definitely keep it diverse. I know it's been a minute. So today we're gonna talk about my December wrap up. I'm gonna talk about all of 2025. We're gonna talk about January because we're now in February. I'm filming this on February 1st. Yeah, I know it's been a minute. So there's a lot to talk about, and I don't want this to be a 300-hour video. So without further ado, let's get into the December 2025 and January 2026 wrap up. Let's go. Okay, let's start off with a monthly wrap up. Let's talk about 2025 in December. So, gonna go over my summary. As always, I do have Storygraph up. You know, I am a Storygraph girl, hardcore. In December, I read 18 books, 3,070 pages. I spent 135.05 hours listening. Apparently, my average rating was a 5-star. This year, it's on my resolutions to try and be better about remembering to rate and review every book that I read. So, just a little bit off. Then I'll probably go down. Average book length was 415 pages. Average time to finish was 26 days. I was reading a lot slower at the end of the year, but let's go in and talk about it. December was a pretty good month for me for the most part. I really enjoyed every book that I've read. There's two that I'm not getting into. Sorry. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I don't talk about my job, and I don't like to talk about the books that I've read because it's very separate. So I did read Heart's Landing by Melanie Harlow and Rights of the Starling by Daphne Perry. We're not talking about it. Moving on. I did read All Eyes on Him by Ileana Zander. This was a gifted arc from Poison Press. I read this in a day, and I do remember having kind of mixed feelings about it. It wasn't a bad book by any means. I think I gave it 4 stars or 3.75 stars. It was like a thriller, romantic suspense. It was good. It wasn't great. I think it was one of those days where I just couldn't stop reading. So yeah, we read that. I'm gonna do the books first, and then I'll talk about the audiobooks. I also read, thanks to Seventeen, the graphic novel of To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Y'all, this is so cute. I am so excited they're getting graphic novels for the series. You know me, you know this is one of my absolute favorites. I cannot stop talking about it. I can't recommend it enough. I don't know if you can see it. They're on my shelves behind me. Any edition that has been released, I have it. So I love this. 5 stars. No notes, 10 out of 10. I loved getting to revisit LJ and PK, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the next one because it has my boy John Ambrose, and y'all know that I'm 10 toes down for John Ambrose. Next book that I finally did finish it. I Was a Good Girl, and any book that I started in 2025, I finished. Dang it, I did it. I finished The Bullen Trader by Philippa Gregory. There's something so magical about reading about Tudor England for me. I don't know why. This was about Mary Boleyn. No, Jane Boleyn. My bad. Jane Boleyn. Mary is also mentioned. Jane, who is the wife of Anne and Mary's brother George, and it's about her time at court. Basically, she's a right hand to the Queen from Catherine of Aragon on. The only one that I believe she does not work with is Catherine Parr. I think she knows of Catherine Parr, but stuff happens with Kitty Howard. This is a great book. I love Heavenly Brights. It's such a great fictional take on true events that did take place. Is the whole book true? Probably not, because it's fiction. But I loved actually hearing Jane's story and how she worked with each of the queens, what it was like, and I love the way that Philippa did this. It was a great book. I also read In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. If you know me, you know I'm 10 toes down for Sarah. I would die for this woman. I would take a bullet for this woman. I am permanently in Rome, Kentucky. You cannot take that series away from me. This was Emily and James. I've been waiting so long to get Emily's story. Emily kind of reminds me of me because she like never really feels like she fully knows what she wants to do. And like when she goes to culinary school, she knows that she's good at it, but it's hard. And you know, when you feel like you have to live up to someone else's expectations, it's rough. And I've been there. Or sorry, this is not Emily and James. This is Maddie and James. Emily is in the prior book. Clearly my brain is not functioning today. We are in a struggle bus. This is Maddie and James's story, and Maddie goes to culinary school. Emily is the sister before this. I also hardcore relate to Emily, but I also relate to Maddie because Maddie is a perfectionist. She has a lot of anxiety. I also feel those things. I loved how this started. I loved that from the very beginning. He's down bad. He is down bad for Maddie, and I loved every second of it. I love when a man is so chronically down bad that it doesn't matter what she does. He's riding for her. And that was James for Maddie. And I loved how supportive he was, but he was supportive in a way where she could be herself and make her own choices and make the choices that she felt was right for her. And I think that's really important and it's really special. And I loved how their relationship developed. I loved how nervous she was because she had always like found them as just frenemies in a sense. And when she started to become friends with him after moving back to Rome, it was a really, really beautiful arc for her. And I love that she found herself, her voice, her love of cooking again. It was just chef's kiss. I'm sad that that's the end of the Rome series, but I cannot wait to see what comes from Sarah next. And I will always revisit Rome. I love those books. They're a comfort for me. I see myself in each of the sisters. Even though technically Amelia isn't, whatever. Amelia is a sister. She marries into the family, so she's a sister to me. But I loved all four books, and In Your Dreams is easily a 5-star for me. It was one of my favorite reads of December, if not my favorite read. I also ended up finishing Our Fish's Oaths by Annie Davenport, y'all. This book. It was the quintessential spicy romantasy standalone. I love Enemies to Lovers, and Nia does this so incredibly in this book. And like from the very beginning, it's spicy, y'all. And I loved that Khadijah was not afraid to show you how badass she was. I think that's really important, especially in today's day and age, for women to own who they are and be themselves unapologetically and not be afraid to be strong. And I loved that Khadijah was like that. She is an incredible FMC. I loved Malachi. I loved their relationship. I love how it developed. And that throne scene. It kind of lives rent-free in my brain. Basically, Nia has another banger, and she could write the phone book and I would read it. Pretty much. That's how it always is with me. It was incredible. It is a standalone, which is really nice. I don't get to read a lot of those, and it's a good one. Y'all should easily pick it up. I would absolutely 110% read it again. I also listened to the audio. I did an immersive to finish this. Yeah, 100% worth it. The next book that I finished was Girls Who Play Dead by Joelle Wellington. I have some conflicting feelings about this. I loved their Vicious Games. From the beginning of their Vicious Games, it was gas to pedal, nonstop. This just started a little too slow for me, and I think that's why it took me so long to read it. I love how Joelle writes. She pulls you in, the characters are very well developed, the plot is great. This one was just a little too slow for me in the beginning, and I wasn't as pulled in as I typically am with her books, and that makes me really sad, and I hate saying that because I think Joelle is an incredible writer. I loved how this developed. I loved the ending. I loved the twists that came. I did not expect some of them, and I think that's one great thing about Joelle's writing, and I cannot compliment Joelle enough. She has written They're Vicious Games, Girls Who Play Dead, and goodness gracious, The Blonde Dies First, I believe, is her other book, which I also really, really enjoyed. This was like a 3.75-ish for me. Not my favorite Joelle, but I definitely recommend people to pick it up and read it. A, because Joelle is an incredible writer, but B, because I love how it's a look at how influencers can be manipulated and used. And I think that's an important topic in today's day and age. And I think many people should read it because it's an important conversation to have. But Joelle writes beautifully, and I definitely think you should still check it out. Do not let me thinking my own thoughts, like that it's a bad book, because it's not. It's actually really good. I really enjoyed, once I like fully got into it, I really, really enjoyed it, and I think you all should give it a chance because it is a great book and it's a really important story. Oh, I lied. There was a third book that I read for work. It was Dirty Hit by Libby Hart. It actually comes out on February 2nd. I'm not going to talk about it because that feels a little weird to me because I separate those things. There's a work Brittany and there's a social media Brittany. This is social media Brittany. So those were the 3 workbooks I read. We're not talking about it. Okay, moving on to audiobooks. We are heavy on audio. I have been super, super, super heavy into audio, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So most of my reads in December were audio. Now, let's talk about them. I listened to both Nightbane and Skyshade by Alex Astor. This series has a chokehold on me at this point, and I need book 5 like I need air to breathe. I love Susie Jackson as a narrator, and I think she has done an incredible job with this series. I have loved every single one of these audios. I have done it immersive reads, so it's mainly the audio for me, but sometimes I will follow along in like the digital or the physical. I think so far Nightbane has been my least favorite, and it's a 4-star read for me still, so like it's still really good. Yeah, Nightbane and Skyshade, they were good. We love it here. They were great. I really enjoyed them, and I will end up talking about Crown Tide for the January portion of this because I did read Crown Tide in January. So yeah, I really enjoyed those. If you haven't checked out the Light Lark series, I think it's a really fun YA fantasy series. I really do. It's a fantasy romance series. She does have an adult fantasy romance coming out that I'm very excited about. But Nightbane and Skyshade were great. I also listened to Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I made a vow to myself that in between all of my arcs, I was going to try to let myself catch up on books that have been big or books that friends have been recommending me for a long time and I just haven't gotten to. So I listened to Belladonna and I loved it. I am so mad that I waited so long. The audio was incredible. I don't even know how to describe it. Sigmund Death were just... It was everything to me. It was so good. I was so invested. I literally binge listened to it. I could not stop. It was one of those can't stop, won't stop moments for me. I loved every second of it. It was incredible. 10 out of 10, no notes, chef's kiss. I also listened to The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. I really enjoyed the narrators. This is also I didn't read for work, but it is a workbook, so moving on. I also listened to What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I really enjoyed this. I don't read a lot of books, I will be honest, that have taken place in Egypt, and I loved how this was written. I like the way that Isabel writes. I love the romance in this. I can't wait, Lord, to get to what the library hides. But I did really enjoy the listen. I really thought the narration was great. It was a solid 4 stars for me. It was really good. I really enjoyed the development. I thought it was great pacing. Overall, just a pretty good book. I also listened to Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Look, I know there are a multitude of other videos that are much better equipped to discuss this than me. It's kind of been everywhere, and I would be remiss in my duties as somebody who reads, reviews, and rates books to not acknowledge that when I listened to this audiobook, this has nothing to do with the narrators. The narrators were phenomenal. I love the narrators. But as someone who has also read the entire Red Queen series, the entire Divergent series, and the entirety of the Hunger Games, this was dangerously close to a line that definitely needs to be acknowledged. There is a difference between paying homage or using similar tropes or taking inspiration from a body of work and plagiarizing said work. And there were a lot of parts of this that felt very, very similar to specifically Red Queen. Red Queen did come out years before Powerless did, and while I love books that use similar stylings or have similar plots, this for me did cross a few lines. I felt this is, for legal reasons, this is my own opinion. I am not saying anybody did anything illegal, but it was very similar to Red Queen, and I very much noticed that. I still enjoyed it. It wasn't bad. It's just something I've already read, and I would stand 10 toes down for Kit though. Like I did love Kit. Overall, it's a decent book. It's just very similar to other books that I've read, and I feel like people should know that before going in. This did come out after Red Queen. I need to make that very evident. So if you are somebody who is picking up Powerless now or picking up Red Queen after reading Powerless, please know that Red Queen, the entire series, came out before Powerless was ever published. Do with that information what you will. But I did enjoy it. I did end up listening to the rest of the series. But is it something that I would like tell people, you have to read this immediately? No, especially if you've read Red Queen. The next audiobook that I listened to was My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. This was an ALC, and I did get a physical from Flatiron. Shout out to Mac Audio. I really enjoyed this. I really like how Alice Feeney writes thrillers, and I think she does such a great job of pulling you into the story and pulling you into the characters and that narrative. And I think this is one of those times. I don't know, there was like, especially the epilogue, when I finished that, I was kind of gooped and gagged. I will be completely honest, I was goopied and gaggied. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It is out now. I highly recommend checking it out if you are a thriller, or even if you don't. It's a really great mystery and suspense, and I thoroughly enjoyed. I also think the narrators did a great job with this. The other audio that I listened to was Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. I did find out some things that make me kind of sad, so I don't really want to dwell on this because I support a free Palestine. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I do not like to platform people who do not have the same values as me. So, moving on. The last book for December that I get to talk about is The Serpent and the Wolf. I loved this, and now I see why people talked about it. This was written by Rebecca Robinson. I listened to the audio because I do have an art book too, and it's similar to Belladonna for me. Like, I'm mad that I didn't read it when people were talking about it, because I loved it. Like, when you open a book of a woman getting married and like pretending to get ready for the sexy time for, you know, their wedding night, and she threatens, by threatens I mean she almost stabs the man she married so she can kill him, I'm sold. This was such an incredible enemies to lovers, and I can't get over it. It was just chef's kiss. Chef's kiss to me. I love this. I cannot wait to dive into book 2. I do believe it comes out soon-ish, so I think it may be on, yeah, I think it may be on my list for February. Yeah, so I loved it. Highly recommend. Definitely go check it out. It is an adult fantasy romance. It does have a little bit of spice, I will warn you. Okay, so now that we have wrapped up December of 2025, I'm not gonna dive deep into my 2025 fully, but I am going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about some of my wrap-up stats, some of my favorites of the year. I finished 121 books in 2025. I read 26,839 pages and listened to 539.23 hours. I think it was a pretty decent year for me overall. For the most part, I enjoyed all of the books that I read, and let's talk about some of my favorites. Well, the first book that I read was Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss, which I really, really loved. The last book was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Both were audios, ironically. Let's see. I was 186% of my reading goal, so I went over. I was also over on my pages goal, so I was at 134%, and I also went over on my audios, which is 179%. The genres that I spent the most time with in 2025 was romance, fantasy, young adult, contemporary, and thriller, which sounds like a typical day for me. So the longest book was Quicksilver at 20 hours and 41 minutes. The shortest was Love and Other Killers by Bren Weaver, which was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's an hour and 2 minutes. I do listen anywhere from 1.8 to 2.5 speed. It really just depends on the narrator and how dense the world is, or if I can like fully understand and comprehend, because I do like to comprehend what I'm reading. The average length of the books that I read was 369 pages, and it took me about 17 days to finish each. The least amount of time that I spent was a single day, because I binge listened to Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews, which is an incredible book, and I cannot recommend it enough. The book that I spent the most time with was Girls Who Play Dead by Joelle Wellington. I talked about that in my actual December wrap-up. I talked about how I felt about that book. I still love Joelle, and I will still read whatever Joelle writes, so do with that what you will. The authors I spent the most time with in 2025 were Alex Hastur at 4 books, Elise Kova at 2, and Ava Reid at 2. My average rating for 2025 was 4.61. There are probably a lot of books that I didn't rate, so I don't know how accurate that is. Some of my 5-star reads that I'm going to call out that definitely deserve chef's kiss, more hype. Once Smitten, Twice Shy by Chloe Leese. An incredible book. She is so stellar at her mental health rep, and I love how she writes stories. You can't get enough of them. And I think it's a really unique thing that Chloe does and how she portrays her characters and how they're just so well developed. The romance is so well developed and you can't help but root for them. But Once Bitten, Twice Shy was incredible and hands down probably one of my favorite reads of the year. Y'all already know what's coming. Oathbound, need I say more? I would take a bullet for Tracy Deonn. I would take a bullet for Brie Matthews. I would take a bullet for Selwyn Kane, and I would take a bullet for Nick. So, what is there to say? That series is the pinnacle for me. You can't touch Tracy Deonn. That series has rewired my brain chemistry. It's ruined my life in the best way. And oh, sorry, my back is starting to hurt. I cannot give Tracy enough accolades. Like, there are not adequate words to describe my love for her, my love for the series. If you haven't read it, I really don't understand why at this point. It is literal pinnacle of writing. One of my other favorites that I'm going to call out is The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. I listened to the audio of this. Y'all, it was so cute. I love me a fake dating. But you fake dating an astronaut, girl. It was so cute. And it was steamy in all of the right ways. And I loved every second of it. Probably one of my favorite romance books to date. I loved it so much. And I cannot sing its praises enough. And speaking of another romance, y'all already knew this was coming. Let's talk about Love is a War Song by Danica Nava. As an Indigenous girly myself, there is not a lot that I wouldn't do for Danica Nava. And I have to say that Lucas Iron Eyes is probably still to this day, my number one book boyfriend besides Nick. But also Brie. It was such a beautiful cowboy romance. I really wish Danica got more love. I think she's a brilliant writer. I think she's incredibly talented, and I just wish she got her dues the way that some other romance writers do, because Danica's killing it. And I can't wait for Danica's next book, but Love is a War Song, please go read it. It is a beautiful book, and something that really, it sits on my heart, and I think about it a lot. One of my other favorites for the year was Hollow by Taylor Roth. I thought this was a stellar queer YA horror. I also love that there is mental health rep in this. It is so well done, and Taylor has such a unique way of writing and pulling you into a story, and just when you think it's going a single direction, it changes, and it's so subtle, the hints, but so beautiful, and I cannot recommend this enough. But if you don't like puppets, I'm just warning you, there's puppets. That's all I'm gonna say. Another one of my favorites, I've talked about it multiple times, I have raved about it everywhere, Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kimmerer. It was incredible. Straight up changed my life. Gave me clear skin. I love a good why choose. Bridget could write 100 of these and I would eat them up. It was smash. All of them. Loved it. Chef's kiss. Give me the next book. Expeditiously. Because that ending was criminal, and I'm dying. I need the next book. Please. Give it back. And by give it back, I mean give it to me. Another book, incredible audiobook. I actually listened to this on a drive from a trip to and from Cincinnati. It's Once Upon a Time in Dollywood by Ashley Jordan. I laughed, I giggled, I smiled, I swooned, and I cried. This being a debut blew my mind. I wish I could describe how much I love this book and how heartfelt and heartwarming it was. The way that Ashley talks about grief is such a beautiful thing. And I don't want to ruin it for anyone. So like, I could go diving deep into this and how much I love this book and read you my entire review, but I think this is one of those books that you just have to pick up and fall in love with yourself, because it is truly a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece, and solidified that from her debut I will read anything that Ashley writes. Another good fave, a long-standing favorite of mine, Macy Eddings. Well, actually, I love this. Like, I literally bought, I did a video talking about it. So I built a hot dog Lego. Go check out that video if you want to know my full thoughts, but I loved it actually. One of my other favorites, 10 Toes Down for Dylan Dyer, Brave and the Reckless. Chef's kiss, loved it. There is not much I wouldn't do for Dylan. I also did a whole video on this and Love is a War Song. I'm going to link that in my video about, I think I did a reading vlog for Warrior Princess Assassin too. So if there's long form videos, I'm going to link them in the description so you can go check those out and hear me actually like in depth talk about my love, why I enjoyed it. But The Brave and the Reckless was incredible. I can't wait for the next book. I'm pretty sure Dell is going to get sick of me from asking for it, but look. Excuse me. But look. You ain't, there's nothing you can say that would make me hate Dylan. And I need that book like I need air breathing. One of my other favorites was Sisters in the Wind by Angeline Boulier. Angeline is a beautiful writer. And there's just something in the way that she writes contemporary, and this was kind of like a thriller mystery. I wish I knew how to accurately and adequately describe how incredibly talented Angeline is. This book was so beautiful, and I know Angeline gets a lot of praise, as she should, but I still don't think it's enough. She's a beautiful writer. She's a master of the craft, and there's not a book from her that I haven't been in love with, emotional. It's just a heartfelt, beautiful, beautiful story, and I'm really gonna truly need more people to read it, if I'm being honest. And then obviously, In Your Dreams. Enough said, I already talked about it. I also read A Theory of Dreaming and An Archive of Romance, both by Ava Reed. Both were incredible. Y'all know how I feel about Ava Reed. What else is there to say? Y'all know I'm a diehard Ava Reed person. And that's that. It is what it is. I loved both of those. I loved An Archive of Romance and how beautiful all of the illustrations were, and just getting a deeper dive into that world. And I'm sad that it's over, but I love Ava. I love just everything about her. It's incredible. Yeah. Apparently, I explored the works of 73 new authors, including Piper Rain, Callie Hart, and L'Oreal Dove. 51 of the books that I read were part of a series. I apparently revisited a total of 4 books this year. I didn't DNF any, good for me, I guess. My number of books compared to 2024 was up 51%. My number of pages was down 1%. My number of hours was up 901%. I don't know what that says about me. There's some, yeah. I know there's some in here that I definitely probably needed to rate and didn't. Blood Beneath the Snow was also incredible by Alexandra Kennington. I'm listening to the sequel now, and it's such a top tier. Chef's kiss. Love a good bisexual MC. Mask of the Deer Woman by L'Oreal Dove was beautiful. A beautiful indigenous story. I cannot recommend it enough. I highly implore everyone to go check it out because it's everything to me. All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I don't know what I can say about that besides y'all need therapy if you don't like it. Argue with your mother. Or a wall. I'm surprised that this wasn't in there. A Mastery of Monsters. You all have heard me ad nauseum talk about how much I love that book, how much I'm dying for A Clash of Carnivores. I think I'm staying permanently upon Simon Teen's neck until I get it. LaSalle is an incredible writer, and she deserves the world, and I would give it to her if I could, truly. Mainly because I want that book. No, I'm just kidding. I love how LaSalle writes. I've loved everything I've read of LaSalle's, and A Mastery of Monsters was no different. I finished it like at 11 p.m. I think on the cruise, and I stared at the ceiling for a solid 10 minutes. I was like, what? They fudgesicles. And I texted one of my friends and was like, hey, read this so that I'm not alone in my despair. And then they did, and then they understood. So, I also really enjoyed Game On by Keith Stevens. It's a great cheerleader football romance with a little twist, and I loved it. Chef's kiss. Hopelessly Devoted by Audrey Goldberg-Ruoff. Also a very, very fun, it's kind of like a cozy mystery romance fantasy. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. You Found Oliver. I've talked about Dustin Tao ad nauseum. Do with that what you will. Argue with Wall if you don't like it, okay? Arcana Academy by Elise Kova was incredible. I Medusa, Change My Brain Chemistry. You will borrow that book from my cold dead hands. I really loved The Whistler by Nick Medina, another incredible indigenous author. I've really enjoyed everything that Nick has written and that I've read. I haven't read all of Nick's work, but I've really enjoyed what I've read of his. Because I also earlier in the year listened to I don't want to say it wrong. Indian Burial Ground. Razorblade Tears was also up there by S.A. Cosby. It's one of my favorites. Let's see what else I really loved. Told You So, I just blanked on the word, the autobiography, the memoir by Macy Neely. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I loved getting her perspective on things, and there's something about Macy that's so endearing, and I really adore her. Another of my favorite was The Love Audit by Lucy Eden, an incredible romance. Chef's Kiss, no notes. Couple of books that I think you all should keep your eye out for in 2026. Vow of Eternal Night by Lily Crozier. Stage Set for Villains by Shannon J. Spahn. Heart's Landing is up there. Also, oh goodness. I don't have it marked on here, but Not Good Neighbors by Violet Lumani. Also incredible. Y'all should be on the lookout for those. But overall, it was a really good year. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. And now let's look at January. January was packed for me. Let's be realistic. January 2026 was an absolute wild time. It's been a hard month personally. I've just had a lot going on. School has been challenging because I'm a perfectionist, but no one is surprised by any of this news. So let's talk about it. I haven't rated all of these, so this is, again, it's going to be inaccurate because I have to write some reviews and all of that. But let's talk about January 2026. I know this is probably a really long video. I'm so sorry, but I feel bad because I haven't really done this in a while, so let's get into this so we're not hitting the 2-hour territory. January 2026 wrap up. I got through 30 books, 2789 pages, 255.73 hours, and my average rating was a 4.07, which sounds pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie. It might change a little bit based on the last, I think there's like 8 that I have to rate. Average book length was 381 pages. Average time to finish was 4 days. I did all fiction this month. I have not done nonfiction. Compared to December, I was up 67% book-wise, down 9% pages, and up 89% for the hours. I did 73% audio, 17% print, and 10% digital. And let's get into my cover collage and talk about all of the books that I read. We're gonna rattle these off because your girl was rated for January. There was a lot. Obviously, I truly love Storygraph because it's good to me. Okay, let's start with like the physical or digitals that I read. Sweet on a Younger Man by Nina Crespo. This is book 2 in the Honeybee Farms series. I love this. I love this series. I think it's so sweet. I love the way Nina writes. I mean, these are short, quick, adorable stories, and I absolutely adored it. I also read Love Goes Viral. Let me see if I can... I'm gonna blank on all of the authors, but I know one is Camille Stotich. This was really cute. I love the idea of like a meet cute and then people coming back together. I love a good PR crisis. I love like the idea of influencers and fame and that kind of thing. I really love this. I thought it was a very well done book. It was really good. I also read Physically Beth is Dead. Look, I want to caveat what I'm going to say with the fact that I truly wish this did not have a Harry Potter reference in it. Because other than that, this book was stellar. I loved it. It's such a great take on Little Women, all of the characters. But that Harry Potter reference wasn't necessary. It is 2026. 2026. Why are we still referencing Harry Potter? And the transphobic woman who wrote those books. We don't need to. Stop it. They easily could have just said the word wizard instead of giving a name from a character of that series and bringing more attention and thus funneling more money into her pockets, which she will then use to fund anti-trans legislation. Not necessary. I really love the book, but I hated that. I'm just being honest. The book is great. Should have had a Harry Potter reference. C'est la vie. Moving on. I also read An Arcade Inheritance by Camille Cole. Camille is a beautiful writer. I love this. I thought it was a really, really interesting and unique take on dark academia. I loved the romance. I loved all of the twists and turns. It's such a great standalone, and I very heavily would recommend. Very, very heavily. I also read Is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austen. I thought this was such a unique exploration of grief. If I'm being real with you, I think it was stunning. I loved the emotions and how complex they were, and I think it's just a great way to explore what it's like, you know, when you discover your sexuality at an older age, or when you lose an ex-partner. And I would definitely check the triggers, but I think it's a really important book, and I think it was really, really well done. I also read Sundown Girls by Ella Stratton. This book is... I wish I had adequate words to describe it, because it was everything to me. I loved how this was crafted, what it was about, how it brings more light to sundown towns, and how, like, yes, there are still sundown towns in the United States in 2026. In case you were wondering. If you've never heard of a sundown town, I highly encourage you, especially because it is Black History Month, to go do some research on sundown towns. Find out the ones around you. You know, I would say it's insane, but knowing this country's history, it's not insane to me that they still exist. But I loved how just like the entire thing developed. I really did. I really loved that. And I loved how LS wrote it. And I think it's really important to explore that story and explore, connections with ancestors. And this was such a great book. I loved it. It had everything. It had mystery, romance, history. It taught me something. It was so good. One of the other, it's not actually a physical, and I'm not really going to get into it, but I did read Stormbreaker by Nisha J. Tooley. Moving on. I also read Definitely Maybe Not a Detective by Sarah Fox. This was really funny. I had a lot of fun with this. I was entertained. It was funny, it was heartfelt, it was mysterious. It's like one of those funny, cozy mysteries that also had romance, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I need more. Give me more. Okay, now that all of those are out of the way, let's take a gander at all the audios that I listened to, because there were a lot. I finally took my first foray into Stephanie Garber. Everyone's clapping. I listened to Once Upon a Broken Heart. Incredible. Loved it. Immediately requested book 2 from Libby. I used my library a lot for a lot of these. For the books that have already been out, I used the library for them. I also listened to Caraval. Both were great. I think I enjoyed Once Upon a Broken Heart a little bit more, but I really loved both of them. I have not gone further into the Caraval series. I know I need to. I will get there. I just have a lot of audio arcs, and it wasn't that I didn't enjoy it, because I enjoyed both of them. I thought they were great, so I'm just going to keep in that vein. I also listened to A Curse for True Love and The Battle of Never After. That series was stellar. Jax and Eva are chef's kiss. I cannot recommend it enough. I'm mad that I waited so long. We'll also talk about the other series that I ended up finishing, which was the Belladonna series. I listened to both Foxglove and Wisteria. I know there's, I think, a novella, Holly. I haven't listened to that yet, but I've listened to the main series. I loved it. I think Foxglove was probably my least favorite, but it was still a 4 stars, so I really, really enjoyed it. Both of those are great series, Once Upon a Broken Heart and Belladonna. Can't recommend them enough. As I said, I told you I'd come back to it. I did finish Crown Tide. I'm sending Alex Astor my therapy bills, because if I don't, I'm going to sue her for emotional damage for that ending, and I don't even know when the 5th book is coming out, and that hurts me on a deep level. It was really, really great. I loved it. The other series that I did end up finishing listening to was the Powerless series. I've talked ad nauseum about it. Did I have a good time? Sure. I don't really have much else to say. I also listened to Wreck Your Heart. I thought this was really fun. It was a nice little mystery romance, and it was all about the country music scene, and I thought it was a blast. I think this was written by Lori Raider Day. Really good book. I really enjoyed it. I thought the audio was great as well. I also listened to The Swan's Daughter by Roshani Chashki. Incredible. 10 out of 10. No notes. So good. Loved everything about it. Chef's kiss. I cannot recommend it enough. I also listened to The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. They wrote a pretty solid romantasy. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I had a great time listening to it. It's not my favorite romantasy, but I still think it's a really, really good, really solid. I am still bitter that they changed the title to The Princess Knight from Medievally Blonde, because Medievally Blonde would have been really funny, and I liked it. But yeah, really, really good. Definitely recommend. I also listened to Queen of Faces by Petra Lord. Y'all, I don't know how to accurately describe to you how incredible this book was. I binge listened because I couldn't get enough. It's so unique, and the magic and the characters, like, I don't even know how to describe how much I loved it. It was so damn good. It is one of those books I'm gonna need you all to run out and buy immediately when it comes out. Immediately. You don't have a choice. I also listened to Grace's Heart by Isabel Ibanez. Y'all, I just don't think this was the book for me. I don't. And I don't want to discourage anybody from picking it up. I just simply don't think it was for me. It was a little too slow, and you know what? Not every book is for every person. So I don't want anybody to think, like, if I said that I didn't enjoy something or it wasn't my favorite, I don't want someone to be discouraged from reading it. Because I didn't like a book, or it wasn't my favorite, or it wasn't something that I truly fully enjoyed. I still think you should try it. It might be something for you. I loved that it was about art and Italian culture, and I think it weaved those together beautifully. I just think it was a little too slow for me, and I found myself trying too hard to want to care about why she was doing what she was doing. And that's okay. But just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it. So I definitely recommend giving it a try. If it's something that you've been interested in or something that sounds good to you, please pick it up. Do not let me influence your decisions. I also listened to Carnival Fantastico by Angela Montoya. That was a banger. Incredible. I loved this. I loved the entire thing. I loved how they brought the romance in. This just... There's something so fun about carnival settings that I just eat them up. Angela wrote such a beautiful story, and I loved, like, I just had so much fun with this. I think it was such a great and unique story, and it's one that I don't think I'll stop recommending anytime soon. I really loved it. Really loved it. I think it comes out 2/3 if I'm not mistaken, February 3rd. Highly recommend. I also listened to It's Not Her by Mary Kubica. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a pretty good thriller. I have always pretty much enjoyed Mary's books that I've read or listened to, and this one was no exception. I think it was great. I thought it was such an interesting take, or not, like, an interesting story premise. Like, kind of wild that, you know, they were thinking that, like, a girl in their family was kidnapped. It was wild. Really, really good. Really fun to watch unravel. I really enjoyed that one. I also listened to House of Blight by Maxim M. Marlano. This was good, y'all. This was real good, and that ending got me good. I do have the arc of the second book, which is why I went ahead and listened to this. I didn't realize when I signed up that it was the second book. It just sounded incredible, so I immediately got House of Blight from the library and listened to it, and it was fantastic. Can't recommend enough. It was so, so good. Highly recommend checking that one out. I also listened to A Practical Guide to Dating a Demon. This was just a good dang time. I love a good cozy fantasy. This is a YA cozy fantasy, cozy mystery, and it was really cute. It was really fun. I listened to it in a couple of days because I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. I think it's one of those books that, like, you just have fun with, and, like, you can't help but find yourself smiling or giggling, and it really, yeah, it really got to me. I really, really enjoyed it. So, and last but certainly not least, oh wait, no, there's one more before that. Beast Links Towards Beijing. This book was incredible. I am not the biggest reader, and it's not because they're bad books at all. That's not the case. It's just something that I don't tend to gravitate towards is literary fiction. But I saw the description of this book and I love the idea of exploring generations and how generational trauma can form how your eventual like familial line will view you. And I loved the magic realism. I loved just getting to see the thought process and learning about parts of the Chinese culture that I didn't know, or the history that I didn't know. I think this is such a beautiful exploration of that, of family dynamics from the past to the present. And I think it's such a wonderful story, and I think it's one that everyone should read. It's one of those books that's poignant and heartfelt, and you can't help but get lost in the story and get lost in everything that's going on and fall in love with these characters and the setting and what you're reading about. It's truly one of those moments that once I finished it, I was like, yeah, that's going to be a book that sticks with me. It easily has. I've recommended it to friends, and honestly, I'm recommending it now to all of you. I definitely recommend checking out A Beast Slinks Towards Beijing. It's poignant, and I highly recommend it. Now we're getting into, let me double check. Yeah, I told you all that I finished the Powerless series. That does include Powerful and Fearful. So I did listen to all of those. Y'all already know my thoughts. The last book that I'm gonna talk about is Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. I talked pretty heavily and very highly about Jeanette's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, and how it was such an incredible story of resilience and how she overcame so much adversity. And I loved getting to know that side of her and getting to see what it was truly like for her growing up and what her life was like as a child star. I thought it was a beautiful memoir. Half His Age is her debut fiction. Y'all, I had a very, very tough time with this. This is about a 17-year-old girl who is in a relationship with her teacher. I know what Jeanette was trying to do. She was trying to be poignant about how headstrong young girls can be, and when they want something, they want it, and they want it now, and they have to have it. And while I get it, there were just parts of this that felt icky to me, and I think it's because while this is labeled an adult novel, and obviously I don't mind spice in my books, it just felt wrong to read explicit scenes between a 17-year-old child, and her 40-something-year-old teacher. I get what she was trying to do. She was trying to explore power dynamics, what it's like to be a young girl and be that headstrong, be, someone who wants what they want and they go after it and they get it. I understand that. But it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know if it's because I am also a survivor of childhood SA. But it just didn't hit for me the way I wanted it to hit. And I think the way she intended it to, it has for other people. This could be my own biases. It did not hit for me. It didn't. And that made me sad because I actually was like really, really I wanted to enjoy it, and I wanted it to be about how power imbalances start and how they're manipulated. And while I think the attempt was there, it just didn't land for me, and that makes me sad. So that is that. Those are the 30 books I read or listened to in January of 2026. I did start 4 before the end of January that I will finish in February. Lessons in Faking by Selena May. This was originally published in German, and Lynx, the publisher, is now publishing also in English in the United States. So I've started that so that I can read the second one, which comes out at the end of February. I also started Gods Beneath the Ice by Alexandra Kennington. It's the second book. It's the sequel to, goodness gracious, I talked about it, Blood Beneath the Snow, goodness. I'm listening to the audio thanks to PRH Audio. Icons. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm about 30% in, and I have really loved diving back into this world. I also started The Aftermath by Tracy Wolff. This comes out on 2/3. I'm now about 15% in, and I have so much fun with the way Tracy writes. I'm really enjoying this. It is a middle grade, but y'all know I read middle grade, so do with that what you will. Obviously, I'll talk more about these on my February TBR video, which I will film, I promise. And then I also started Until the Clock Strikes Midnight by Alicia Dow. I'm loving this so far. I can't wait to finish these up and talk about them in February, but I did start them in January, so I wanted to just bring them up. Yeah. So that's it. That's December. That's me talking about 2025. That's January 2026. Obviously you're noticing, this sounds really bad. This is a David. Library looks a little different. My mother finally won. We did a lot of like new things. Got bigger shelves that held more so that I could like rearrange some things. I'll do a little tour. You also got to see my ring light and me very up close. So there is no technical library. It's still a library, but there's now also a bed because this is our spare room. It's also my office. So yeah, that's why it looks different, and you're probably like, what the heck? That I didn't address this until the end of the video. Yeah, so looks a little different in here. Hopefully I can kind of scrub out, like, when I make movements, it's kind of a little squeaky because it is what it is. But yeah, it's been a long 2 months of reading. I can't wait to see how I do in February and what we get to talk about. December is a good month. January is a good month. Can't wait to see what February holds. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going to stop yapping so this isn't several hundred hours long. I do have some exciting things coming up in February personally, so if you could send some good juju my way, that would be nice. Yeah, and hopefully soon I will have a February TBR video out for you. I know I kind of missed January, my bad. Can't wait to talk about February, and it is my birthday month, and if you aren't following me on either Instagram, TikTok, Threads, I have been trying to post them here on YouTube as well, but I'm doing a diverse book rec a day until my birthday. I started it a month out, so we are on day, when I'm filming this, day 15. I read pretty diverse all year round. It's pretty evident when I do these roundups. So I hope you will also check those out and check out some of the recs that I've given. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope maybe you pick up some of the books that I enjoyed and you enjoy them too. But for now, I guess I'll do the normal YouTube-y stuff. If you liked this, feel free to leave a like. Tell me what you've been reading in the comments. If you've enjoyed this and want to see more content from me, feel free to give me a little subscribe-y. And I don't know, you can hit the bell, whatever that does. I'm trying to be better about this. Sometimes it's hard. I'm also in school. I don't know if I've really talked about that. I am actively also in school, so I'm working in school, trying to keep up with content, and hopefully I am going to be better about filming for YouTube. Hopefully somebody will, remind me, because clearly my ADHD isn't. Anyways, Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all my other socials, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!